We made USAA insurance for veterans like James. When he found out how much USAA was helping members save, he said,
"It's time to switch."
We'll help you find the right coverage at the right price. USAA. What you're made of, we're made for. Restrictions apply.
I don't think we've ever done a segment called Ask a Record Company Executive.
We have a guy with us. His name is Lee Leifsner.
He's a vice president over at Columbia Records in New York.
And this guy, let me tell you something, people. This guy is big shite. Okay? This guy is...
He's power.
Power. All right?
Money. He's money.
He's expense accounts.
Money.
He's money.
He is everything that you imagine New York to be. He owns the streets of Manhattan.
But more than that, he really does know the ins and outs of the record business. And
recently, of course, they signed Sean Mullins.
Yeah.
So he's very familiar with the Atlanta market.
How much jack did you give him?
Oh, Barnes.
How much what? Jack. There's a lot of words I don't understand this morning.
Yeah, this is Barnes Onyx. Don't even try Barnes Onyx.
Well, Jack.
Yeah.
There was some good Jack.
That's confidential.
There was some good Jack. Because you were fighting with, 30 other companies to get him? Yeah, we were. But you know what? It was... you had the bigger checkbook. Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Those are the bigger wallets. Always win. Bigger wallets win.
That's true.
So we're going to take your calls at 404-741-0997. Ask a record company executive.
Who are some of your artists, just so people know?
Yeah.
The Offspring, Alice in Chains, Sean Mullins, obviously.
Train.
Some other Will Smith.
Huge.
Aerosmith.
Columbia Records.
Barbra Streisand, Neil Diamond, Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, the home of Springsteen.
Whose catalog sells the most?
A lot of the greatest hits from certain artists, like Journey's greatest hits, still sells 5,000 to 7,000 copies a week.
A week?
A week? Yeah.
Unbelievable.
When the lights
Streisand's, I would think Streisand's catalog is
Streisand
huge.
has over 50 albums on Columbia. John Mellencamp's
with the label now.
John Mellencamp.
It's still one of the best shows you can go to.
One of the best live shows. He actually was managed by Tommy Mottola a long time ago, when Tommy Mottola, before he came to Sony, was the head of Champion Entertainment. He was a big manager in the biz, Hall & Oates. And
now, when I told you that I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with a friend of mine, I went with Lee.
Yes.
And, it was frightening how many legends were in that room. But Billy Joel, how long has Billy Joel been on Columbia?
25 years.
Yeah.
What about a funny story we heard about Jon Stewart and Billy Joel? He was ranking on him on the show, and apparently Billy Joel showed up at the studio.
At his office.
In his office. At Jon Stewart's office. It was very funny about it.
That usually makes, it's funny. I guess when they do that pop-up video on VH1,
right.
Billy didn't like what was going on, so he personally wrote a letter to VH1 telling them, got to cool it down with my ex-wife and the whole thing.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, he's very much aware of what's going on around. He's very hands-on.
But the story that Jon Stewart told made it seem like he had a real good sense of humor, because Stewart was talking about his schmaltzy music and his, middle-of-the-road crap, and the next thing he knows, he's in his office, and he was laughing about it. He said, hey, if you can't take a sense of humor, if you don't have a sense of humor, get out of show business.
That's Billy Joel at his finest, absolutely.
How's Tony Bennett doing?
Tony's doing great. He loves the Morning X.
Does he still sell anything?
Of course he does. He's got a beautiful penthouse in Central Park. Someone's got to keep it up.
Does he sell a lot of records still?
He still sells records. I mean, it doesn't take him a long time to record them. He's an artist that can go in 2 weeks, have the orchestra ready, because he's not writing new songs. They're all standards and, classics. But, obviously we get about one new album a year from Tony. And he's still very visible, and he's still Mr. New York, and, he's still doing his paintings, which you guys have seen before.
Yes.
But he loves the morning show. He loves this. Of past bands, who was the biggest pain in the ass? They're no longer there anymore. Oh, they're no longer there before.
Yeah, you can talk about them because they're not on the label
they're gone
anymore.
already. It's funny, when I used to work for Mercury Records, a great company, and I used to think John Mellencamp was the biggest pain in the ass.
Now
he came back to haunt me. You probably met his brother, huh? His brother did work for us, and when they finally had to let his brother go, he was a pain. He was a pain, and he was lazy, but John took care of him. John's a real good family guy, looks after his siblings. Right, he has his brother running the ship. Yeah, and what happened was, the president of Mercury at the time had finally decided to cut him loose, but they had to tell John, and they didn't tell him before they cut him loose. So they called John, and sorry, just want to let you know your brother was let go, and we had to do it. And there's dead silence on the phone, and John's comment was, "What took you so long?"
No!
He knew.
Oh my God.
Really? Sure.
That's funny.
Yeah.
While you're there, caller, I'm glad you waited. Hi.
Hi, Adam.
Hey. I'm in a local band, 60 Cycle Hum. I don't know if you've heard of them or not. We played Music Midtown, actually, this year and the year before.
You did one of our jingles.
Yeah.
Yeah. My question is...
I didn't want to admit that.
Yes, he did.
What's
Absolutely.
that?
You did one of my favorite, one of our jingles, kind of a Lenny Kravitz sound.
Last year, you guys submitted one of our jingles to the jingle contest.
Yeah, people tell me that they hear it a lot. I've never really managed to hear it myself, though.
You know what we're talking about, don't you?
Yeah, I remember that. We did it on our little 8-track.
Right. Made it sound like I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, my question was, actually, I've got a million questions, of course. I'd love to have him listen to our stuff, but...
I'll do that.
Would you?
Yeah, sure.
If I had to pick one question right now, it would be, what would be the best way for us to get in touch with a good manager who could get us, who has the ear of somebody like yourself?
Well, as far as management, I mean, it's done different ways. Obviously, it depends on what you're looking for. I mean, every manager has a different style, different approach. We work with some of the best managers in the business, and the managers that I like to deal with, or that we deal with on a daily basis, are ones that really have it's typical, but have the artist's best interests. And they really do believe in the music. And it's not just a process. It's not just, you have a local manager here in town that we all know, Russell Carter, who is actually one of the best managers, who really understands, the essence of the business. He understands, the music side of it, the creative side of it. And, that's why he's very successful. He makes my job a lot easier. How about that?
Yeah.
You should meet with different managers because it's a relationship, and it's like, did the two of you vibe together?
Here's a question about working at a record company. Do record companies shy away from hiring kids who just want to get in there because they have a band and they think that they'll go in and they'll roll some posters but in the back of their mind, the real reason they've got the gig is so that they can somehow get their band in the back door?
Oh, there's absolutely people that work up in New York in our office that are interns that have bands and they want
this kid who just called.
Yeah.
No offense, it sounded like the reason he would like to work for the record company is because he plays music and wants to get discovered as an artist.
He said he's been in the music business all his life and he loves music.
Is it?
Oh yeah, there's people that work for us right now that have bands, and certainly they'll drop them off the tapes, and they want. People don't understand. We get about an average of 500 unsolicited tapes a day at Columbia Records. Just packages.
Where do those go, really? Where do they go?
Well, I don't think, some of the A&R people will weed through some of them and take a listen, and they might have heard about a band in some area of the country, but, it's hard to listen to all of that. It's tough. It's just to break through these days, it's tougher, but, I don't think all of them wind up in the trash like they think, but it's tough. Just sending in a blank tape, just a tape with your picture.
What happens to the bands that finally make it over that hurdle, they have their first single, and then they disappear?
Well, it's always, we try to avoid.
Is that a write-off? Is that a tax write-off?
No, what's great about Columbia is that you walk around, the halls and you see the history on, you see the Bruce Springsteens and the Bob Dylans and the James Taylors.
Every label's got those, but then you have your one-hit wonder guys.
Everybody has one-hit wonders. We try to avoid that as much as possible. We don't, it doesn't do anything for anybody. It's a short fix. It's not a long-term fix. You make the most money by selling catalog. That's where you make the most money.
You try to sign career artists.
Absolutely. Because, the goals is always to take a record or a band a step further each time. You go all at once. It's funny. Last week, I saw in L.A. MC Hammer. This guy was on top. He had his moment of fame. It was incredible.
Moment? He had millions.
Millions. He sold probably 10 million records, okay? And I know he lives here, and he's a really nice guy. And
he lives here?
He lives, what?
I thought
Florida.
Oh, he did live here, didn't he?
MC Hammer?
Yeah.
No, not that I know of.
Oh.
But whatever.
Not that I know of, but
I thought he was from. Wasn't he from? Well, he was from Oakland, and then
posse may be here.
Okay.
There are a lot of MCs who live here. I don't know that Hammer was one of them, though. Yeah, but you're saying that.
But it's just you see that, and you see what happened, and it's behind the music stuff, and it's pretty incredible.
Lee, this has been very informative. Thank you.
You got to come back another time.
Yeah, come back when it's not the end of the show.
Okay.
How's our friend Sean Mullins doing?
Sean is great. He's on tour all summer with Hootie and the Blowfish. Sean's doing great, and he's very appreciative of all the support here. And
now, will a guy like him, will he make much money off his first record? Even though it was really big, the label puts a lot of money behind an artist on their first, and costs a lot of money to tour and to promote, and that all money comes out of record sales. But like you were just talking about,
it's all recoupable.
Yeah, and you were just talking about catalog is where the big money is. But a guy like him, he'll still come out way ahead, even on the first album, or do you have to wait for the second?
Well, I think, it's with his album, we didn't do much to it. He had it out, and we had to re-release it because of,
Yeah, he didn't go in and spend like $300,000 recording it.
I'm sure he got a nice advance.
And there was a buzz, yeah. So if there's a buzz about you, it's kind of going the other way. You're money to them.
And it's bittersweet talking. It's talking about it here in Atlanta is always great because, this is where it started. And Sean, he put out an amazing song, and he's an amazing artist, and people forget how long he's been touring and long he's been playing here.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, it's a really great story. I mean, to see where he came from and the hard work he put into it, and then having him nominated for a Grammy. To me, that's what this is all about, really. It's not only just selling millions of records, but to see a guy who was playing in these small clubs.
Paid his dues
and working out, you know, just doing, and what, he had 9 albums out before that?
About 8, yeah.
Yeah, and to see him have, you know, reach that kind of success, it's an amazing story. And I'm happy for him because he's one of the nicest guys you could work with.
He absolutely is.
Lee Leibster, Columbia Records, Ask a Record Rep.
Thanks, guys.
This is the best of the Morning X.
Trying to grab all the groceries in one trip? Oof, not how you would have done that. You know sometimes less is more. Like when you drive less and save with the USAA annual mileage discount. USAA. Get a quote today.